She left, and for a moment it feels like the world stopped spinning. The silence after her absence hits harder than any argument ever could. You replay everything, the words, the memories, the mistakes. You start asking questions that don't have answers. What did I do wrong? Wasn't I enough? How could she just walk away like that? That's heartbreak, the collapse of the illusion that love was control. It's the feeling of losing something you thought was yours forever. But here's the truth, my friend. No one belongs to you, and the faster you accept that, the faster you regain your power. Pain has a way of stripping a man down to his rawest form. It exposes the truth of who he really is when there's nothing left to comfort him. Most men fall apart here. They chase, they beg, they break. But not the Stoic. The Stoic turns inward. He doesn't drown in emotion, he studies it. He lets the silence burn him clean. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it. She didn't destroy you, your interpretation of her leaving did. That's where your training begins." The Stoic warrior doesn't see loss as punishment, he sees it as initiation. The moment she left wasn't the end, it was your rebirth. Because now you have two choices: remain broken or rebuild stronger than before. You see, when a woman walks away, she expects you to crumble. She expects your world to revolve around the absence she created. But when you go silent, when you vanish into self-mastery instead of self-pity, something shifts. She loses control, the power flips. Your goal isn't revenge, it's resurrection. You don't want her back, you want you back. You want the man who existed before the attachment, the one who could walk through fire without flinching, the one who doesn't need validation to feel worthy. So this video, these 7 Stoic hacks, aren't about manipulation, they're about transformation. Because when you rebuild yourself correctly, you don't have to make her regret leaving you. She'll do that on her own when she realizes the man she lost no longer exists. If you're ready to rise from this, stronger, colder, calmer, then like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and comment below. I rise through pain, unshaken, unbroken. Now let's begin. The first Stoic hack, and the foundation of all power, is emotional control. Because the moment she left, she wasn't just testing your heart, she was testing your discipline. When a woman walks away, she's watching your reaction more than your words. She wants to see if you'll beg, chase, or crumble, because those reactions reveal what kind of man you truly are. And that's where most men lose. They break their silence. They plead for closure. They try to explain their worth instead of embodying it. But a Stoic warrior doesn't explain. He observes. He feels the pain, but he doesn't let it make him weak. He channels it into power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That means when she pulls away, you don't pull her back. You pull yourself together. You don't chase the situation, you master your reaction to it. Because the truth is, you can't control her feelings, her choices, or her silence. But you can control how you respond to all of it. A man ruled by his emotions is a puppet of circumstance, but a man who rules his emotions becomes a fortress. When she leaves and you remain calm, not bitter, not angry, not desperate, that calm becomes terrifying, because silence speaks louder than 1,000 texts ever could. She'll expect chaos. You'll give her composure. She'll expect pain. You'll show progress. She'll expect you to react. You'll respond with nothing but stillness. That's the Stoic advantage. The one who controls his emotions controls the game. Understand this. Emotional control doesn't mean suppression. It means transformation. You still feel everything, the loss, the confusion, the sting of betrayal. But you use those emotions as fuel. You lift heavier, you think deeper, you create better. You become more dangerous through calm, not through noise. Epictetus said it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's not a quote, that's a strategy. The next time that wave of sadness hits you, don't run from it. Breathe, watch it, let it move through you like water through rock. You are not the wave, you are the shore, unmoved, unbroken. Every second you resist the urge to text her, you gain strength. Every time you hold back from explaining yourself, your power compounds. Every breath you take in silence is a reminder. You are no longer controlled by her presence or her absence. She expected your emotions to betray you, but when she sees your stillness, when she realizes you are no longer driven by need or reaction, that's when her mind begins to wander. She'll start to question everything. How is he so calm? Does he even care? And that's when the shift happens. Because calm is magnetic, silence is mysterious, control is irresistible. So remember this first Stoic hack. Emotions are your soldiers, not your masters. Command them, direct them, discipline them, and the world, including her, will feel your power without you saying a single word. When she left, she expected you to chase. She expected the tears, the late-night messages, the desperate apologies, because that's what most men do when they lose something they think they can't live without. But not you. You're not going to chase, you're going to disappear. Because a Stoic warrior doesn't beg for attention, he builds in silence. He understands that the greatest revenge is evolution. You see, after a breakup, the average man tries to fill the void with distraction, new women, parties, validation, temporary highs. But the Stoic man, he fills the void with discipline. He doesn't run from the pain, he transforms it into purpose. Discipline is what separates the broken from the reborn. Every time you choose the gym over self-pity, you're rewriting your story. Every time you study philosophy instead of scrolling for validation, you're sharpening your mind. Every morning you rise early, eat clean, move, and meditate. You're becoming the man she can't recognize anymore. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's your mission now. Stop talking about how hurt you are and show the world who you're becoming. Your silence, your focus, your absence. Those are your weapons, because nothing makes a woman question her decision more than a man who doesn't seek her approval, a man who vanishes into purpose. You go quiet, you get cold, and you get consistent. Your new routine becomes sacred. Every rep, every page read, every moment of silence is another step away from the version of you that needed her. Understand this. When you disappear into discipline, you shift from being predictable to being powerful. The old you was reactive, always trying to prove something, always seeking her attention. The new you moves with precision. You don't explain, you don't announce, you simply become. And that's when regret begins to grow in her mind. Not because you posted a highlight reel, but because your silence forces her to imagine your transformation. She starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're becoming. Who's seeing the man she left behind evolve into someone unrecognizable. But here's the truth. This isn't about making her regret. It's about making you proud. Because once you learn to replace pain with discipline, no one ever has that kind of power over you again. You stop being the man who crumbles. You become the man who rises. That's what disappearance really is. Not ghosting, but ascending. You vanish from her world to reappear in your own as a king, centered, grounded, untouchable. So take this to heart. When you disappear into discipline, you stop chasing love and start radiating strength. And trust me, the world, and yes, even she will notice. You can't rebuild your life in chaos. You need structure. You need order. You need a routine so sharp, so unbreakable, that it becomes your armor against every emotional storm. When she left, she didn't just leave a void, she left space. And that space will either become your prison or your fortress, depending on how you fill it. Most men fill it with distraction, with noise, with temporary highs that only deepen the hole. But the Stoic man, he fills it with discipline. Marcus Aurelius woke before dawn to meditate on his duties as emperor. Seneca wrote every evening to reflect on his day. Epictetus trained his mind daily to stay calm under cruelty. These men didn't leave greatness to chance. They built it, hour by hour, habit by habit. Your healing begins when your routine becomes sacred. Every morning should have meaning. You rise before the sun, not because you have to, but because it's an act of self-respect. You train your body not to impress anyone, but to strengthen your mind. You eat clean, you move in silence, you keep promises to yourself. Your day becomes a ritual of power. Routine is what turns pain into progress. It transforms heartbreak into focus, silence into momentum, loneliness into transformation. The moment you say, "This time is mine," and mean it, you start to regain control over everything she took from you. A strong routine does more than fill your schedule. It rewires your identity. Because you stop living reactively. You stop wondering what she's doing, and you start wondering how you can outdo yesterday's version of yourself. You become your own obsession. Your calendar becomes your battlefield, and every completed task is a victory. Here's the truth. Consistency is more powerful than motivation. Anyone can grind for a week out of spite. But the Stoic warrior shows up every day, not for revenge, but for mastery. He trains when it's boring. He disciplines himself when no one's watching. He doesn't chase results. He chases refinement. That's what creates the glow-up she never sees coming. The kind that doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly in the dark. The kind that makes her scroll back through your old photos one night and whisper to herself, "What did I lose?" But you won't even notice, because by the time she looks back, you'll be too far ahead. The man who builds an unbreakable routine becomes untouchable. He no longer needs closure, validation, or revenge. His satisfaction comes from watching his own progress, from seeing his discipline become visible in his posture, his energy, his calm. Routine is what keeps the fire lit when motivation fades. It's what protects you when emotion returns. It's the rhythm that keeps your spirit from collapsing under chaos. So when the temptation comes to check her profile, to reach out, to relapse into weakness, you'll be too busy sharpening your craft, your body, your mind. You won't need to prove anything because your life will become the proof. Remember this, you can't control how she feels, but you can control how you rise, and nothing commands more respect from others and from yourself than the man whose discipline outlasts his heartbreak. There's a power that comes when a man upgrades his presence, not his looks, not his status, his aura, that quiet confidence that enters the room before he speaks, that stillness that makes people wonder what he's thinking, that discipline that radiates through every movement, every glance, every breath. When she left, she thought she'd seen the best of you. She thought she knew your worth. But that's only because she met you before the evolution, before the silence, before the glow-up. See, the Stoic glow-up isn't about revenge. It's about reconstruction. It's the art of becoming so composed, so balanced, so at peace with yourself that the world, and yes, even she, begins to feel your absence like gravity itself. Start with your body. The body reflects the mind. Train not to look good for her, but to prove discipline to yourself. Every drop of sweat becomes a statement. I do not need permission to become better. You don't skip days. You don't make excuses. You carve your strength into your very posture, into the way you stand, walk, breathe. Then, your style. Not flashy, not loud, composed, neutral tones, clean lines, simplicity. You don't wear clothes to attract attention. You wear them to mirror your clarity. The Stoic glow-up is about refinement, not noise. Now your energy. You move slower, speak less, smile with purpose. You become observant, grounded, unbothered. People around you start to feel it, this strange stillness. They can't quite name it, but it's power without aggression, calm without weakness. It's what the ancients called gravitas, the weight of a man who knows who he is. When she sees this version of you, something shifts. You won't have to post it. You won't have to prove it. The change will speak through your silence, because nothing creates regret faster than realizing the man she left behind became the man she always wanted. But again, this isn't about her anymore. Your presence isn't a weapon for revenge. It's a reflection of evolution. You've upgraded your body, your mind, your focus, your aura, and now you walk with the energy of someone who doesn't need to be understood. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That pain you felt, that was your polish. The silence, that was your refinement. The absence, that was your becoming. When your presence changes, everything else follows. Opportunities, friendships, women. The world begins to move differently around a man who has tamed his chaos. You become magnetic, not because you try to attract, but because you've learned to withhold. Your silence carries weight. Your focus demands respect. Your peace becomes power. And when you reach this level, her opinion no longer matters, because you've become the version of yourself you were always meant to be. The fifth Stoic hack is where everything changes. Stop chasing validation. Because the moment you need someone else to see your worth, you've already given them power over you. When she left, she took something intangible with her, your sense of importance. That voice in your head started whispering, "If she doesn't want me, maybe I'm not enough." That's the lie that enslaves men. That's the poison that keeps them crawling back, hoping for crumbs of attention. But the Stoic warrior doesn't beg for validation. He builds his own value. He stops performing for eyes that no longer watch. He understands that attention is cheap, but self-respect is priceless. Seneca once said, "He who seeks wisdom is a lover of his own soul." That's the truth most never grasp. When you start living for your own approval instead of the world's, you become free. When you stop chasing her attention, you start attracting something deeper, respect. Because the more you chase, the smaller you appear. The more you prove, the weaker you seem. And the more you try to remind her of your worth, the more you tell her she was right to doubt it. So you stop, cold, silent, unreachable. The Stoic man reclaims his power by shifting his focus inward. He starts asking, what do I think of myself? What do I approve of? What do I want to become? He starts investing all that desperate energy back into his craft, his mind, his health, his purpose. That's when everything starts to reverse. Because nothing unsettles a woman more than realizing the man who once needed her validation no longer needs anyone's. When she sees you happy, focused, calm, not pretending, not fronting, but genuinely fulfilled, that's when the regret begins. The irony is, once you stop chasing validation, people start chasing yours. Because confidence built from self-respect radiates differently. You stop posting to prove. You stop reacting to be seen. You stop explaining your silence. You become mysterious again, unpredictable, disciplined, detached. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." That's the insanity of modern life. Everyone obsessed with being liked, while forgetting to like themselves. So ask yourself, do you want to be admired, or do you want to be at peace? Do you want her to regret leaving, or do you want to reach a place where her regret doesn't even register? Because when you become the prize, the calm, grounded, self-contained man who needs no validation, she'll feel it. She'll sense it in the silence. She'll feel it in the stillness of your energy, in the way you no longer seek, chase, or react. The truth is, you were never meant to be chasing love. You were meant to be embodying strength. And once you become that, everything you once wanted will start moving toward you. Now we enter the deepest Stoic discipline of all, detachment. Because mastery over emotion means nothing if you still cling to how things should have been. She's gone. The story ended. But your suffering continues only because your mind refuses to let go of the ending you imagined. You keep replaying the same moments, the laughter, the promises, the forever that turned out temporary. But the Stoic warrior understands that nothing is permanent. Love changes, people change, life changes, and the only real suffering comes from resisting that truth. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." That is the essence of Amor Fati, the love of fate, not tolerating what happens, not just accepting it, but loving it. Loving the pain because it reveals your strength, loving the loss because it teaches detachment, loving the ending because it gave birth to your rebirth. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending. You no longer need things to go your way to be at peace. You no longer beg for the universe to fix what it already ended. You simply whisper, "So be it." And that whisper is the sound of freedom. The man who practices Amor Fati cannot be broken because he doesn't fight life anymore. He flows with it. When she left, she unknowingly handed you your greatest lesson. That control was never the goal, acceptance was. And once you embrace that, you stop being the victim of the story and start becoming its author. The truth is, nothing is ever lost. It only transforms. The love you gave doesn't vanish. It returns as wisdom. The pain you felt doesn't destroy you. It refines you. And the person you were with her, he had to die so that you could be born. That's what detachment really means. It's not cold indifference. It's divine trust. It's understanding that everything that left your life was never meant to stay. That everything that hurt you was meant to shape you. That every ending is simply a new alignment. You see, when you let go, something incredible happens. The weight falls off. Your mind clears, and the silence that once felt empty becomes sacred. You begin to see life not as chaos, but as choreography. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every twist serving a purpose you couldn't see at the time. And when you finally surrender to that rhythm, your peace becomes unshakable. You stop asking why and start saying thank you. Because you realize she wasn't your punishment, she was your initiation. That's Amor Fati, that's detachment, and that's where real freedom begins. Not when you stop loving, but when you stop needing. There comes a point in every warrior's journey when words lose their value. When you've said all that could be said, explained all that needed explaining, and realized that silence is your sharpest weapon. Silence is the ultimate Stoic power move. Because nothing confuses, intrigues, and commands respect more than a man who no longer reacts. When she left, she expected you to argue, to defend, to chase, to plead for one last chance. But when you went silent, when you didn't post, didn't call, didn't explain, something inside her began to stir, because silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's the echo of self-control reverberating louder than any speech ever could. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." So when she pulls away and you answer with silence, you're not playing games, you're exercising dominance over yourself. You're saying without words, "I owe no one my energy. My peace is mine to protect." Silence is terrifying to those who expect reaction. It's a mirror that forces them to face themselves. And that's why it works. Because when you no longer feed a connection with your words, it starves on its own. Your absence becomes heavy. Your composure becomes loud. Your stillness becomes magnetic. Understand this. Silence is not avoidance. It's strategy. It's the ability to hold your ground when everything inside you wants to reach out. It's the discipline to stay still when your ego screams for validation. It's the strength to trust that time, not words, will prove everything that needs proving. In the silence, you grow. You become observant, patient, calculated. You start noticing things you never did before. Your thoughts, your habits, your triggers. And slowly, your silence becomes your sanctuary. When she looks back and sees you haven't said a single bitter thing, haven't sought her attention, haven't tried to prove you're fine, she'll feel the weight of your absence. Because silence says, "I've accepted everything, and I've moved on." And there is nothing more haunting to the human heart than the one who moves on in peace. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply that to your healing. Listen more, to your instincts, to your pain, to the wisdom that lives beneath the noise. You'll find that everything you were searching for in someone else was always inside you, waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear it. In the end, silence is not just a response, it's evolution. It's the final stage of detachment. The place where you stop trying to prove you're over her, because you truly are. So let the silence speak for you. Let your calm unsettle those who expected chaos. And remember, every time you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you hold your tongue, you forge your patience. And every time you disappear quietly, you rise silently, becoming the kind of man the world feels but never fully understands. You've been through the fire. You've felt the sting of loss, the silence of absence, the ache of memories that refuse to die. But look at you now, breathing deeper, standing taller, thinking clearer. The man who once begged for closure has become his own closure. The one who needed her validation now validates himself. And the boy who fell apart when she left has been reborn as a man who walks through storms without trembling. That's what this entire journey was about. Not making her regret leaving, but making you grateful that she did. Because her departure was the doorway to your discipline. Her silence was the spark that lit your transformation, and her absence was the space you needed to meet the man you were always meant to become. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." You've earned that perspective now. You've rebuilt from ashes. You've learned that peace isn't found in other people. It's forged through pain, through patience, through power. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer explain, you exemplify. You no longer crave revenge, you radiate growth. Because the greatest revenge is evolution. The man she left behind is gone. In his place stands someone calm, disciplined, and untouchable, a stoic warrior forged in heartbreak, yet fueled by purpose. You don't wish her pain. You don't wish her back. You simply wish her peace, and walk forward into your destiny without looking behind. This is your transformation, your awakening. You are no longer a victim of emotion. You are the commander of it. You are no longer begging to be chosen. You are becoming the kind of man who never has to ask twice. And now, every step you take in silence, every moment you train, every second you remain grounded, you're not just healing, you're ascending. So, to every man watching this, remember this truth. You are the storm and the calm within it. You are the sculptor and the stone. You are not what you lost. You are what you became because of it. If this message awakened something in you, then like this video, comment below. I am no longer who I was. I've become who I meant to be. And subscribe to Stoic Blessing to join the Brotherhood of Stoic Soldiers. Because the journey doesn't end here. It begins here. Every day is training. Every challenge is opportunity. Every silence is power. This is Stoic Blessing. Train your mind, master your emotions, rule yourself.